Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
I stand at the door and press my palm flat against its cool surface. My breath hitches in my throat. It's only a few steps from here into the apartment, but in this moment, those steps feel like miles of broken glass. I hear the dull hum of the air conditioner inside. I catch the muted voices, hers, maybe on the phone, or maybe just rummaging around. My body tenses, and I realize I'm actually afraid to twist the handle. Ridiculous, I tell myself. This is my home. My thumb brushes over the little record button on my phone's app. I turned on the recorder a minute ago, almost by instinct, just the faint beep to confirm it's rolling. I've been keeping these recordings ever since suspicion slithered into my mind. I guess part of me wants a record, wants to hear the old me, the gullible me, the loyal me, before I become someone else. I press my ear to the door, trying to steady my breathing. My heart is hammering like crazy. She's inside. My wife, Emily. Once upon a time, just saying my wife made my chest expand with pride. Now it's a hand tightening around my windpipe. I turn the handle and step in. The door swings open with a faint creak. The living room light is on. She's in the kitchen, I think. I see the edge of her silhouette through the open doorway. Her hair's in a loose bun, a few strands falling around her neck. She's wearing a blouse, jeans, dressed more casually than usual for this hour. I notice the tension in her shoulders. She's hunched over the counter, flipping through the mail, or maybe just pretending to. "Hey," she says, turning with a slight jump. "I didn't hear you come in." I close the door quietly. My fingers still hover near the phone in my pocket. "Yeah," I say, "I guess I came home a little earlier than usual." I keep my voice neutral, maybe a bit husky from the dryness in my mouth. She sets the envelopes aside. "Everything okay at work?" I nod, but I don't move closer. Had a short day. Finished the pitch meeting early. My tongue feels thick. Every ordinary sentence is loaded with subtext. The tension is almost physical in the room. "You hungry?" She shakes her head. "Not really. I grabbed a bite with some colleagues after the shift." I know which colleague that was. The one with the easy grin and the broad shoulders. The one who has a name I used to forget. Marcus, until it became seared into my memory like a brand. I feel a surge of anger rising in my stomach, but I swallow it down. I'm trying to keep my voice controlled. Aggressively calm, like a detective about to corner a suspect. I walk into the kitchen, leaning my back against the fridge. She edges a bit away, crossing her arms, giving me that fleeting glance. We stand in silence for a few seconds. You could slice the air between us with a dull knife. "You sure everything's all right?" she asks again, eyes flicking across my face. She's searching for something, uncertainty, or maybe the slightest sign that I know. I just stare at her for a heartbeat. Then I shrug, letting out a short laugh. "Yeah, fine." My voice is soft, but behind it, there's the unspoken question that's been haunting me for weeks. When I say fine, I mean we'll see how long you can lie to me. She must sense that, because she bites her lip and turns her face away, as if she can't quite bear to hold my gaze. "I'm going to take a shower," she murmurs, stepping around me. She's got her phone in her hand. She's cradling it like a shield. "Sure," I say. "I'll just, unpack my things." She disappears down the hall, and I exhale. The phone in my pocket is still recording. I pull it out and pause it. There's nothing else I need to capture from this standoff. I came here hoping I might say something, confront her in a swirl of raw emotion. But I just stand there, silent. Silence is a weapon. I'm starting to realize that more and more. I let out a slow breath, then head to the bedroom. She's in the adjacent bathroom. I hear water running. I look at the messy bed. The covers are tossed aside, as if someone left in a hurry, or as if she tried to straighten them after. I feel my stomach coil. I step toward the bed. My eyes are scanning every detail. A slight indentation on the pillow that isn't mine. A faint trace of cologne in the air that definitely isn't mine either. It's a heavier, musky scent, not the subtle aftershave I use. I pick up that pillow and bring it to my nose. It's still there. A reminder. An insult. Through the thin wall, I hear the shower. I hear her humming something, stopping, then humming again. Like she's trying to drown her thoughts in the steam. My fists clench, and for a second, I want to tear this entire bed to pieces. But no. I push that urge down, dig my nails into my palms. I'm not letting my anger run loose. Not yet. My plan has always been to see everything, gather the proof, let the tension build, and then strike. If trust is a blade, she's stabbed me with it already, but I'm sharpening my own now. I set the pillow down carefully, smoothing the sheets so it's like I never touched anything. Then I head to the living room, open my laptop, and begin checking the messages I've forwarded from her phone. Because yes, I installed a little piece of software on her phone weeks ago. I never wanted to be that kind of man, paranoid, suspicious. But after that day, that single day when I came home unexpectedly and heard the strangled moans from our bedroom, I couldn't pretend not to see. I can't forget how it felt. The memory is scorched into my mind. Her breathy gasps, his deep voice in the midst of that frenzy. I stood in the hallway that afternoon, stuck to the floor as though my legs had lost function. The door was cracked open. I remember the outline of their bodies, the rolling movement, bare limbs sliding together. I could smell the sweat, that heated musk of two people fully entwined. I saw the silhouette of her hair tossed to one side as he gripped her waist. Her moan, my name never once passed her lips. It was raw, it was primal, but it sure as hell wasn't for me. I stood there too stunned to do anything. My heart hammered. My throat went dry. Part of me wanted to barge in, drag him off her by the neck. Another part of me wanted to close my eyes and vanish, as if by ignoring it, I could undo it. But I was rooted in place. Then something snapped in me, and I took a step back, pressing myself flat against the wall. I peeked again, not believing my own eyes. But it was real. It was the living, breathing truth that my wife was pinned beneath a man I'd only glimpsed once or twice in her building. Someone from her office, or maybe the security staff. My entire body was trembling, and I stayed silent. I don't know how long I stood there, long enough for them to finish in a series of ragged gasps, long enough for me to hear her hush him, telling him to get dressed because he might be home soon. Long enough for me to realize I felt a chilling mixture of rage and heartbreak. And something else, a fierce, quiet determination. If I confronted them that day, it would have been an explosion, shouting, maybe even violence. But something in me said, wait, gather the details. Let them think you're clueless, because there's a subtle power in playing the fool. That was the day I decided to document every detail. Not to embarrass her publicly. No, that's not my style, but to have everything I needed when the time came for my own brand of closure. I left the house quietly, circled around, and pretended to arrive home 30 minutes later. She was alone by then, flipping through a magazine on the sofa, wearing the same blouse I'd just seen tossed on the floor. Her hair was damp from a quick cleanup. She gave me a smile, a kiss on the cheek, asked if I wanted dinner. It was as if nothing had happened, and I let her believe I believed. That was weeks ago. Since then, the facade has only grown more elaborate. She started smiling more around me, ironically, perhaps out of guilt, or a twisted desire to make it all seem normal. She put more effort into her hair, her makeup, occasionally cooking a special meal like she was making amends. The funniest part is that I can't help noticing the signs of tension beneath that forced cheer. She would check her phone at odd hours. She'd giggle at a text, then look guilty if I glanced over. I'd give her a mild look, and she'd get defensive. The seeds of her own fear were sprouting. She had to sense, on some level, that the ground wasn't stable under her feet anymore. Then came the other blow. The bigger betrayal. The man, Marcus, turns out to be the father of our child. Well, the child I assumed was mine. My boy. My son. That fact alone is enough to drive a normal man to madness. But me, I handled it differently. I started connecting the dots when I noticed the blood types didn't match. Then I picked up an old conversation with the pediatrician, something about genetics, and realized I needed an actual test. So I did the test, quietly, without telling her. And I got the results on a day I'll never forget. Not the father. My first instinct was a wave of cold that swept through my entire chest, leaving me trembling. That boy. I loved him as my own. Still do, in a twisted sense, because he's innocent in this. But the mother, my wife, had lied from the start. Maybe she wasn't even certain who the father was. Or maybe she'd always known. That was the moment I understood my silence would be the greatest weapon of all. No fights, no shouting, no shattered dishes, just a quiet, unstoppable avalanche of truth rolling toward her. I close my laptop now and stare at the screen. A man who can't decide if I want to hate her, forgive her, or punish both of us. I tried to keep functioning, went back to the office, pretended life was normal. On the outside, I cracked jokes with coworkers, worked on spreadsheets, nodded politely at client meetings. Inside, I carried a roiling pit of anger, humiliation, and maybe a pinch of guilt, because a tiny, traitorous part of me wondered, did I neglect her? Did I push her away? At night, I'd stare at Jane across the dinner table. She'd try to meet my eyes, but I'd look past her. Sometimes I'd catch myself wanting to see if she was texting him. Other times I'd imagine what I'd do if I found out she went to see him again. My mind conjured violent images, me smashing his face, or me grabbing her phone and hurling it at a wall. But then I'd force a shaky grin and say something in a dull monotone, trying not to let the kids pick up on the tension. If they asked, "Dad, are you okay?" I'd shrug, just tired. Tired. Sleeping in the same bed but separated by oceans of betrayal. And always, the tension thrums beneath. I manage to fall asleep after a few hours, though images keep flashing behind my eyelids. I dream I'm back at that door, hearing the gasps. I jolt awake at dawn, a dull ache in my chest. For a long moment I lie there, listening to her steady breathing. She's curled up on her side, facing away from me. I watch her shoulders rise and fall. A wave of memory hits me. How I used to spoon her at night, her hair tickling my nose. How I used to feel so at peace then. And now, that closeness feels 1,000 years away. In the morning, she's bustling around the kitchen, making coffee. I watch her from the corridor, leaning against the wall. She sets a mug on the table for me. I walk over and sip it. She's the first to speak. I've got a busy day at the office, then a meeting after hours with some potential clients. She glances at me. She used to tell me about her schedule in detail. Now, I suspect half her after hours revolve around him. I nod and force a small smile. I might pop by your building later, I say casually. Pick you up for dinner. She nearly drops the spoon she's holding. Tonight. I might be out kind of late. I shrug. We'll see. Maybe I'll just drop by, say hi to your colleagues. I know the security staff by now, right? I swirl the coffee in my mug, not breaking eye contact. Marcus, I think. Good guy. She freezes, just a fraction of a second, but I catch it. Then she recovers, plastering a smile. You know him. Just seen him once or twice when I picked you up. I down the rest of my coffee. Anyway, I'll let you know if I make it. Gotta run too. She nods, swallowing. Her throat moves. Something in her eyes flickers. Fear or guilt or both. Good, I think. Let her feel that. Let her wonder what I know. I leave the house in my car and head to my actual job. The day passes in a haze of paperwork and mandatory meetings. Co-workers chat about the upcoming Father's Day weekend. I try not to let that tear me apart. Because Father's Day used to mean something to me, celebrating my father or imagining my child someday celebrating me. Now it's become a twisted mockery. I recall that hideous box she gave me last year, all wrapped up neatly with a big bright bow. I remember how she placed it in my hands, said Happy Father's Day, and gave me that shining smile. Then I opened it and discovered a bracelet with the engraving. Thank you for everything, Marcus. She told me it was a gift for me, from the bottom of her heart, that she got it done at some boutique. But I noticed the signature. She tried to play it off as a random design. I was too stunned to speak. Only later did the realization hit me like a freight train. That message was from him, some inside joke or secret promise, and she was brazen enough to repurpose it as if it were for me. Or maybe she didn't even think I'd get suspicious. My name isn't Marcus after all. She said it was a stock phrase. I remember the cold that coursed through my veins. That was the final puzzle piece. That was the day I made an appointment for a paternity test. Even now, the memory of that box is a slow-burning fuse. I can't wait for the moment I watch her facade crumble. I want her to know, really know, how deep her betrayal went. I go through my job in a kind of autopilot. At around 5 p.m., I decide to head to her building, just as I hinted. The city traffic is bad, but I eventually pull into the parking structure. My heart picks up as I ride the elevator to the lobby. The glass doors slide open with a hiss, revealing a polished marble floor. A big desk sits near the entrance. Marcus is there in his security uniform, scanning the crowd. He's tall, broad-shouldered, definitely built. He has a friendly, if somewhat vacant, smile. People pass by, greeting him with nods. I stroll up, giving him a half-smile. Evening, I say, letting my voice drop an octave. Here to see my wife, Emily Friedman. He nods, scanning a clipboard. Sure, you can wait in the lounge or head up. Whatever works. He glances at me again, probably recognizes me from before. There's a flicker of something in his eyes, but it's brief. Then he just gestures to the elevator bank. She might be in her office, he offers. 16th floor. I lean on the desk a little, meet his gaze. I wonder if he suspects anything. If he can feel the tension roiling under my calm expression. You know her well, I ask quietly. He shrugs, adjusting the collar of his uniform. Seen her around. We all know each other here, to some extent. Right. I nod slowly, letting a small smile form. Thanks, man. No problem, he says, returning to his phone. He doesn't realize it, but I can see the faint shift in his posture, the set of his jaw, the wariness in his shoulders. Maybe he does sense something. Good, let him sweat, too. I ride the elevator up. The building is sleek, with tinted windows and fluorescent lighting that hums faintly. I step off on Emily's floor and find her in a glass-walled corner office, typing at her computer. She looks up as I enter, eyes wide. Michael. She exhales, clearing her throat. What are you doing here? I'd take you to dinner, I say, hooking my thumbs into my pockets. But if you're busy, I can wait. She rises from her desk, smoothing her skirt. No, it's fine. Let me just finish up some paperwork and then, yeah, sure. She looks anxious, casting a quick glance at the clock on the wall. Give me 10 minutes. I wander around the open plan area, giving a polite nod to her coworkers. A few ladies from the administrative team smile at me, but their eyes flick quickly away, as if they know something they're not supposed to share. They probably do. Everyone here must have known, or at least suspected, how Emily was spending her breaks with the security guard. But they all keep their mouths shut. A tight-knit group of co-conspirators, in a way. I lock eyes with one of them, tall, with short brown hair. She's behind a reception desk, clearly flustered. When I smile, she looks away. Perfect, I think. They're all guilty of silence. Emily finishes up, grabs her coat, and we walk to the elevator. The ride down is painfully quiet. I glance at her reflection in the elevator's mirrored wall. She's biting the inside of her cheek. Her eyes are pinned to the doors. When they open, we step out into the lobby. Marcus is still at his post. He gives a friendly wave. She waves back, but there's a weird stiffness in her wrist. I can't resist. I walk over to him, ignoring Emily's attempt to steer me away. Hey, thanks for the help earlier, I say. We're gonna head out. Good night. Night, he replies. His tone is neutral, but I see the flick of his eyes to her, then to me. Then he looks down at the desk, tapping a pen. Something's roiling behind his expression. I lead Emily out onto the street. The sun is setting, painting the sky with oranges and purples. People bustle past us. I feel a tremor in my hands, but I steady it as I open the passenger door for her. She slides in, and I close it, then go around to the driver's side. As I pull into traffic, she asks softly, "So, where are we going?" I keep my gaze on the road. "We could try that steakhouse on Willow. You said you liked it last time." My voice is calm, casual, but inside, I'm thinking about the next step. We're approaching the final stretch of this charade. Her betrayal is about to come to a head. She nods, folding her hands on her lap. She looks like she's about to say something, but then stops. We drive in silence. The lights of the city pass by in a blur until we reach the restaurant. I park. We go in. A hostess seats us. The dining room is dimly lit, with plush booths and warm wooden panels. It smells of grilled meat and garlic butter. Usually that smell would set my appetite racing. Tonight, I just feel a hollow pit in my gut. She orders a glass of white wine. I get a whiskey on the rocks. We stare at our menus, not really reading them. I clear my throat. "How's the boy?" I ask, letting a certain edge into my tone. She looks up, startled. "He's fine. He's with my mom. I asked her to babysit tonight." "Good. We haven't had time together in a while." I swirl my drink. "I was thinking, maybe we should do something special for Father's Day. You know, bring him out somewhere." Her face tightens. She's holding the menu, but I can see her knuckles whitening. "Yes, maybe. Whatever you want." I arch an eyebrow. "You sure that's what you want? You don't think someone else might have other plans for him?" She sets the menu down, takes a shaky sip of wine. "Michael, what's going on?" I exhale, leaning back against the booth. What's going on is, I'm trying to figure out how to salvage the scraps of my self-respect. I watch her eyes widen, watch the color drain from her cheeks. My voice is still controlled, but I can feel the heat behind it. "I'm tired, Emily. I'm done playing stupid." She draws a breath, tries to speak, but the waiter appears. We both freeze, exchanging a strained smile with him as he asks for our order. She orders the salmon. I order the ribeye. The minute he leaves, her voice comes out in a thin whisper. "Michael, you're scaring me." "Good," I say. "You've been scaring me for a while now, so it's only fair." She glances around nervously. There are other diners, but they're focused on their own meals. The lighting is low enough that we have a semblance of privacy. She leans forward, arms on the table. "Can we talk about this at home? Please." I shake my head. "No. I want to talk here, in a public place." Makes it easier for me to stay composed. She flinches as if I slapped her. "What do you want to say?" I take another sip of whiskey, letting the burn steady me. Then I look her dead in the eyes. "You remember that little gift you gave me last year? A bracelet with an engraving from someone named Marcus." She pales. Her lips part. I told you, that was just a design. Something the shop had in stock." "Don't lie." I cut her off, quietly. "Not anymore." Her gaze drops to the table, and I see her shoulders shaking. I see her struggling for words. She fiddles with the edge of the napkin. "Michael, it's complicated." I breathe through my nose. "Yeah, it's complicated. Like how I'm not even the father of our kid. That kind of complicated, right?" She stares at me with parted lips. Her eyes are filling with tears. "How did you?" I let out a half-laugh entirely devoid of humor. It's amazing what a paternity test can reveal, Emily. She presses both hands to her mouth. A tear spills down her cheek. I'm sorry, she whispers, voice trembling. Our waiter returns with bread and water, then quickly departs, sensing the atmosphere. I let her compose herself, my mind cold and sharp. Tell me, I say when we're alone again, how long? She can't look at me. She stares at the napkin on her lap. It started about 2 years ago. We'd been arguing a lot. You were working late. I felt lonely. I was stupid. I exhale slowly. Marcus. Security guy. Right. She nods. Her cheeks glisten with tears. Yes, I swear it just happened. We didn't plan. I raise a hand to stop her. So you got pregnant, and you told me it was mine. She closes her eyes. I thought it was, or I convinced myself it had to be, by the time I realized. Stop, I say, my voice straining. That's enough. I can feel the pounding in my chest. My jaw is tight. I'm aware that some part of me wants to cause a scene, toss the table aside. But I won't do that. I maintain that aggressively calm posture, letting my anger simmer beneath. Let everyone else keep eating their steaks in peace. She's shaking, probably waiting for me to explode. But I won't. That's not how I roll. I'd want her to face me with that raw awareness of what she's done. She sniffles, tries to dab her tears with the napkin. What do we do now? I lean forward. Now we eat. Then we go home. Then tomorrow, I'm going to visit your office. I have a few people to thank. Her brow furrows in confusion. What do you mean? I force a smile, which probably looks more like a grimace. Exactly that. You'll see. Then I pick up a piece of bread, tear off a chunk, and chew methodically, letting the tension hang. She stares at me as though I've lost my mind. Our entrees arrive. The waiter sets them down. She picks at her salmon, managing a few bites. I eat half my steak without really tasting it. My entire body is thrumming with tension. She tries a few times to speak, to apologize again, to ask me questions. I respond with monosyllables or silence. Once the plates are cleared, I pay the bill, leaving a generous tip out of reflex, and lead her out to the car. She's trembling. In the hush of the night air, I can almost taste her anxiety. We drive home in silence. She fidgets, sniffling. I keep my eyes on the road. Once we're inside, she tries to grab my arm. Michael, please. I gently pull away. I'm sleeping on the couch tonight. I mutter, not even looking at her. Good night. I leave her standing there, tears brimming in her eyes, and stretch out on the couch. I stare at the ceiling, a swirl of emotions raging under my skin. I've never felt so cold, so heartbreakingly cold. It's strange, the clarity it brings. I used to think love was warm. Now I see that sometimes the coldness can be a stronger emotion, heavier, more final. The night passes in a blur of nightmares and half-sleep. I wake up with a stiff back and a hollow ache in my chest. She's already gone to work by the time I drag myself off the couch. Fine. Let her go first. I shower, dress, and drive to her building just as I promised. I have a plan. One that's simple but surgical in its brutality. When I arrive, I see her colleagues milling about in the lobby, taking coffee breaks or chatting. Marcus is at his post as usual. Emily stands behind the reception desk with a coworker. She looks up, sees me, and her face drains of color. I stride right in, ignoring her wide-eyed expression. First, I go to her two closest colleagues, the ones who always greet me with polite smiles, the ones who must have known about her affair. I give each of them a brief, warm hug, and say, "Thank you so much for keeping the secret all this time. I appreciate you being so discreet." My voice trips with irony, but the expression on my face is that of a man giving heartfelt gratitude. They look shocked, stammering, "What do you mean?" We didn't. I pat them on the shoulder gently. forcing a cordial smile. It's okay. I respect loyalty. I'm sure it wasn't easy for you, but you did great. Emily hurries over, voice quivering. Michael, stop please. I turn to her. Her face is pale, eyes shimmering with panic. She sees me address the entire reception area. They all deserve a round of applause, don't you think? For holding it together while you carried on with your new friend. For not letting it slip. I speak softly, but the words carry in the suddenly quiet space. She's shaking her head, lips parted, but no sound comes out. People are gaping, the hush of tension thick in the air. Marcus is rooted at his desk, fists clenched. I glance at him, then at Emily, and let out a short laugh. What? Surprised, I know. I can see the color draining from his face, too. He starts to move, maybe to intervene, but I hold up a hand. Then I shift my focus back to her. Now, I say, lowering my voice to a near whisper, I believe there's one more small formality I need to attend to. I produce my passport from my inside pocket. It's an older version, not the newest, but the one that has spouse. Emily Friedman typed under my details. I click open a pen. Then slowly, in front of all of them, I draw a line through the word wife. A messy, scaring line. My hand is steady as I do it, and I feel a savage sense of satisfaction. It's petty, maybe, but it feels honest. I want the documents to reflect reality, not the illusions we used to spin. Emily's face twists, as if someone just flicked a switch inside her and shut off all color. She staggers a little. People around us are whispering, eyes darting from me to her. The air is so heavy you could choke on it. I snap the passport shut. There, I say softly. Better to keep it honest, right? She looks like she might faint. Her lips tremble, and for a moment, I see tears forming in her eyes. She knows I'm not just making a scene. She knows I'm severing the final thread. And now it's real, in front of everyone. Marcus steps forward, clearing his throat, but I toss him a dispassionate glance. I'm not here for you. I say, you can keep her, for all I care, or maybe you already have. Doesn't matter. My voice quivers with a flash of anger, but I wrestle it back into that icy calm. I just want you both to know that I see you for who you are now. Emily tries to reach for me, her voice a cracked whisper. Michael, please. I step away, ignoring her touch. That's the last piece of power I refuse to let her have. Because if she touches me now, I might break. I might remember the nights we spent in genuine closeness, or the moment I watched her hold our newborn. My son, or so I thought. The heartbreak is too big to tackle in public. So I give her a final, unreadable smile. We're done, I say simply. Then I turn to leave. The hush in the lobby is absolute. No one moves. I hear her barely stifled sob, and it echoes behind me as I exit. Outside, the day is bright. People pass by on the sidewalk, oblivious to the personal war I just waged in that building. I stand there for a moment, inhaling the sunlit air that tastes of smog and car exhaust, but also a strange new freedom. My phone vibrates in my pocket. I fish it out, see her name. I decline the call. Let her stew. Let her wonder if I'll ever pick up again. A wave of something floods me. Anger, sadness, a sense of betrayal so profound it leaves me hollow. And yet, there's also relief. Like finally stepping off a roller coaster that's been creeping upward, tension coiling, and then plunging down in a violent rush. Now the ride is over. I'm alive, battered, humiliated, but I can walk away with my head high, or at least not hunched in ignorance. I start walking toward the parking lot, each step feeling oddly light. I pass a reflective window and catch my own expression, jaw clenched, eyes rimmed with exhaustion, but somehow calm. That's me, the new me. I get in my car, letting the engine idle for a moment. My heart is still thudding, and my mouth is dry. I realize my hands are trembling on the steering wheel. I close my eyes, taking slow breaths. I think about the child, about the future. It hurts that he's not mine, that everything was built on a lie. But at least now, the illusions are shattered, and I can begin something else, whatever that might be. Maybe I'll visit my parents, talk with them. They're old, in their 70s, but they'd always told me if anything bad happens, their door is open. Maybe that's my next step, a kind of refuge to let me rebuild myself. I open my eyes, feeling the tears prickle. I let them come this time, quietly. I'd always believed real men didn't cry, but I guess I was wrong. Real men cry when the world they built collapses. It's all right. No one's here to see except the empty passenger seat, and that seat used to hold a woman I thought was my faithful partner. Let the tears fall. I'll still stand tall when I'm done. After a minute, I wipe my face, shift into drive, and pull out of the lot. My mind is swirling with thoughts, but I keep the radio off. I want silence. Ironically, silence has become my loudest statement. She'll remember that, no matter what. She'll remember how I sought everything, how I waited, and how I didn't say a word until the final blow. That hush will ring in her ears louder than any scandal or shouting match. I don't know exactly what's next. Probably a lawyer, definitely. Possibly therapy, maybe a slow, methodical dismantling of the life we shared. But in this moment, as I head down the highway under that blazing afternoon sun, I feel a sense of resolve. She doesn't have my trust anymore, and trust was always my greatest gift, my deadliest weapon. Now I've taken it back, and I wield it like a shield around my heart. The foam on the passenger seat vibrates again. I glance at the screen. Emily. It stops after a few rings, then starts up again. She's desperate, obviously. Too late. I keep my gaze on the road, letting the phone ring out. I have no interest in hearing her excuses. Not today. Perhaps not ever. She can face her choices alone. I pass the city limits, merging onto a quieter stretch of highway. My breath gradually steadies. The horizon stretches ahead, the asphalt shimmering in the heat. I grip the wheel and accelerate. Somewhere up ahead is a new chapter for me, a place where I can be honest with myself and not smothered by betrayal. The anger inside me is still potent, swirling like a storm, but the horizon beyond that is brighter than the gloom of staying in that toxic web of lies. I press my foot on the gas. The engine growls. My tears have dried. My heart is raw, but it's beating steadily, fueling every mile I put between me and that building, me and the illusions. I picture her face one last time. Stricken, pale, tear-streaked. And I don't feel pity, or at least I try not to. Maybe part of me still grieves the woman I used to love. But that woman is gone, replaced by someone I hardly know. The city skyline recedes in the rearview mirror. My mind flicks over the final scenes of what happened. Hugging her coworkers, crossing out her name in my passport. That shocking clarity, that final exclamation point on the end of our marriage. She'll look at that line every time she sees my old passport. She'll probably picture me standing there, giving that too warm smile. Maybe she'll hate me for the rest of her life. Fine. Let her hate me. Hate is probably simpler for her than facing the fact that she destroyed the one good thing that ever truly loved her. Or maybe she'll bury it in shame. I keep driving, letting the road unwind beneath me. I think of my father, who's still around, still living up north with my mom, waiting for me to visit. He always told me, "Son, silence speaks volumes." I never quite understood that until now, because in the end, I didn't need to scream at Emily or threaten Marcus. All I needed was to show them, that I wasn't blind, I wasn't a fool, and I was done. My phone remains face up on the seat, silent for now. The dryness in my mouth is fading, replaced by a wave of adrenaline that makes my head buzz. I realize I'm free. I can keep driving, maybe stop at a motel tonight, maybe keep going until I hit another state, or maybe circle back to the city after a few hours once the initial shock subsides. The important thing is that I do what I want, no longer bound by the illusions of a marriage that died long ago. I turn the dial on the radio and find a talk station. Some old sports commentary is playing. I half listen. My mind drifts to my son, or the boy I thought was my son. But I don't cry. I just close my eyes, pressing my lips into a thin line. Enough. Enough for one night. I let the day's weight press me down into the sheets. She shifts closer, uncertain, until our hands connect. Not a grand gesture, just two broken souls acknowledging we're still here. Maybe tomorrow I'll be able to speak. Maybe tomorrow I'll find a moment of peace or another wave of anger. I don't know. But for now, I focus on her hand in mine, the steady hum of the night settling around us, and the faint hope that, if nothing else, I'm not as lost as I was. I'm here. I'm alive. And that tremor in my hand is finally still.